I'm a humanitarian. I'm a wife. I'm a child advocate. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a serial traveler. I'm a fashion lover. I'm the perfect host you can ever find. I'm very entertaining. At the same time, very serious. You know what? You could call me a social revolutionary. Yeah, that's it. Let's Talk Humanity Initiative is a non-governmental organization duly registered in Nigeria in 2015. Our primary focus is in child education. This NGO and all its policies and programs were actually born by a conversation between a 4-year-old girl and myself back in 2014 when I was still a student at the university. And I met this little girl called Amuna at the parish then. Amuna's story was that the insurgents had killed her father in a village in Fufure. Fufure is a village on the border of Cameroon and Adamawa State, and her pregnant mother had run away and traveled with her. The mother had lost her life along the journey and lost the baby as well. And it was just Amuna, a 4-year-old girl with neighbors and other strangers that she didn't know. Amuna was taken to a mosque then when they arrived in Adamawa, because they tried to separate the Muslims and the Christians and take the Muslims to the mosques and take the Christians to the churches and the parish. But when Amuna was taken to the mosque, the imams there expressed concern over the fact that if they take in those that had run from the insurgency or internally displaced persons, that these Boko Haram members would come to their mosques and, wreak havoc. And so they said no to Amuna, but the parish took Amuna there in the parish in Yola. And that was how I met her on one of my field trips for my senior thesis on extremism in the northern part of Nigeria. Now, the day I met Amuna is still as clear as crystal. She was right there. I was talking to the adults. We were in a kind of little circle talking, and Amuna was peeping her face, through the bodies of the adults, through the legs, and it was this bright white eyes, dark chocolate skin. She had, I think, some pap or something she had eaten halfway down her lips, and she also had some mud from playing on her cheeks and on her forehead, and her eyes were so bright, and she just kept on looking at me, and I took interest. I wanted to know who this little girl was. So she was shy and she ran away, and after all of that I went to meet her where she was and asked her, oh, what's her name? Started speaking some Hausa to her, a little bit of Fulani, which she understood, and very, very little English. And asked Amuna, where are you? What's your story? She told me everything that happened to her family. She was able to express it. And let me tell you something. Throughout when she was narrating this experience of coming from Fufure, running away, losing her father, eventually losing her pregnant mother, and her one day would have been her younger sister or brother, her eyes were emotionless. Her face was emotionless. It was like she was narrating a story that had happened to a million other children, not just her. So I went ahead to ask her certain questions. My research was mainly based on children, extremism, and civic loyalty and nationalism in Nigeria. And I asked her, what does Nigeria mean to you? Amuna said, Nigeria is where I live. And that was something that inspired a lot in me. How can this 4-year-old girl just think the whole of Nigeria is where she lives, not where she's from? And I asked her what happened to her parents now that she had become an orphan. And she told me everything that happened to them. Asked her what should be done to the culprits, those people involved with the insurgency, those that helped in the murders and the burning and the rape and all of that. And Amuna said they should be killed. I could not believe my ears that a 4-year-old little Nigerian girl with the sweetest and brightest smile in the world knew what it was to kill. That was just a glimpse, it was a little window into the trauma that she had experienced in her head, what she must have seen over the past couple of weeks or months. And at that point, I made a promise to myself to make sure that every single intelligent Amuna that this country has to offer does not end up in the hands of insurgents or extremists or just anyone that wants to use them in order to harm this country of ours. And over the few months and even 1-2 years since after this, my very impactful conversation with Amuna, I have come across a lot of kids, and all I see around me are Amunas. On that fateful day, I went back to campus. We got called back in that the kids miss us, so my team and I went back a couple of days after when we had the time. And Amuna tells me, "Oh, Auntie, there's something I want to tell you in Hausa." And I said, "Oh, what is it?" And she says, "I didn't mean to say that those people should be killed." I had relief, for a split second. I thought, yes, she can still be redeemed. This little 4-year-old girl is actually not done for. That mentally, that sense of humanity somewhat still exists. But just before I could finish my mental jubilation, Amuna says they should bring them to us to kill them. That was the epitome of distrust, according to my interpretation. That was one clear example and a clear scenario into the fact that Nigerian youth, and especially Nigerian children, do not trust whether they are the government or the soldiers or the Boko Haram members. To her, they were all the same. And for Amuna, at that point, she was the only one in her corner. And I made a promise to myself that I would always be in the corner of every Amuna that I come across. We rounded up the thesis, we moved on, we graduated from the university, and every time I see a little boy with a blue begging bowl on the street, I think of Amuna. Every time I see a little kid selling and hawking on the street, I see Amuna. And that was when I realized that this little girl just gave me my calling. This little girl just sparked up that fire in me, and I mean to keep my promise. That was how Let's Talk Humanity initiative all began, got registered and whatnot. So it's because I always want to talk about Amuna. Let's talk about Amuna, Let's talk about these children. Let's talk humanity.